topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Austin. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I love this next show. And the reason why I love it so much is I suffer from acid reflux. And we have got one of the greatest doctors, not just in Austin, but the state of Texas, specializes in pain. Let me welcome you to Dr. Stephen Clayman. Good morning, Dr. Clayman.
Good morning. How are you, Steve?
I'm fine. I got to tell you, you always come up with topics that are, I guess when we say dear to my heart because I suffer from them. And we're talking about headaches today, which I have got. That's one thing I don't suffer from.
Oh, okay.
Acid reflux, and I have got so many friends that have go through headaches, and I hear how painful they are. But first, let's talk about the Clayman Holistic Chiropractic Clinic. Tell us about your clinic first.
Well, my clinic is located in Austin, Texas. I was very fortunate in the beginning of my career, after I was in practice for about 5 years, to study and take the seminars with a fellow by the name of Dr. Victor Frank, who was a chiropractor and a naturopath. And he and a group of chiropractors and naturopaths and medical doctors put together a whole system of healing called total body modification, or TBM for short. And within that system, it's based upon kinesiology or muscle testing. So there are a lot of different ways to get information out of the body. You can do x-rays, you can do urine analysis, EKGs, et cetera, et cetera. Muscle testing is another way of getting information out of the body. Dorland's Medical Dictionary describes something called viscerosomatic testing or viscerosomatic response, which means there's a relationship between an organ, let's just say the liver, and the skin above the organ or above the liver. And so what has been found is if you touch an organ or the skin just above the organ and test the muscle, if there's damage or injury to that organ, the body will tell you so by a muscle going weak. And so this system of muscle testing has developed over the last 50 years or so, where we can treat a lot of things. And today we're going to talk about acid reflux and headaches, and both of them are actually quite easy to treat. Matter of fact, the headache portion, we're going to teach people how they can do it themselves at home without a doctor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dr. Clayman, I am so amazed at, a chiropractor used to be, you come in for an adjustment. You're in an auto accident. Your practice has come so far. The things that you do and that you have so much success with just blows me away.
Well, there are some amazing natural healing techniques, and as the profession has progressed, innovators have come in and introduced some of these techniques and figured some of these things out. And now we're able to help a lot of people with things that they had to take drugs for or do damage to themselves with drugs. And one of them is acid reflux. And maybe we should just get into it. What do you say?
Yeah. Oh, I want to say this, that your last show you did with us was about allergies. Now, who would have
Correct.
ever thought a chiropractor would deal with allergies? But we got more emails from people who listened to that show that just telling us how much they enjoyed that show, how entertaining but mostly how educational it was. And a lot of them were so surprised because it seems some of them had children with allergies. But we got more emails about that show. So yes, today we're going to start off with acid reflux. What causes acid reflux?
Well, what accompanies acid reflux, you have a esophagus, which allows the food to enter the stomach. So you chew the food, it goes down the esophagus, and it enters the stomach. At the end of the esophagus is a sphincter or a valve. So that valve is supposed to open and let the food drop into the stomach. Then that valve is supposed to close. If the valve doesn't close, food or acid can come back up into the esophagus, causing what we call GERD or heartburn. GERD means gastroesophageal reflux disease or acid reflux or heartburn, pretty much the same thing. So you'll get a burning sensation in the upper part of your chest or in your throat. Well, that valve doesn't close either because the stomach is bulging up into the esophagus. So, for instance, if this was the opening for the esophagus and the stomach was bulging up into it, the sphincter can't close because the stomach is bulging up into it. So what you have to do is you have to pull the stomach down. That's called a hiatal hernia. When the stomach bulges up through this hiatus or opening at the end of the esophagus. Now, you can go to the hospital, they'll cut you open, and they'll pull the stomach down, and they'll tie it so it stays down, and it'll cost you about $50,000.
Yeah, right.
Or you can come into my office or any chiropractor who does kinesiology or naturopath who does kinesiology, muscle testing, and a lot of them know how to do this technique. And we lay on your back, and we just pull the stomach down. It's a little bit violent. It might hurt a little bit, but it's certainly not excruciating. And the stomach comes down, then you can start eating your food and not having acid reflux. Now, sometimes it has to be repeated. We might have to do it 2, 3, 4, 5 times before it finally stays down. Sometimes we do it once, it stays down for a long time. So that's one of the 2 things we check. We also check if there's no hiatal hernia, it may be that the sphincter, the valve, is just stuck on open. So we have to shock it into functioning again. And there's an easy way to do that. In the office, we can just poke it and get it restarted again. Now,
talk about excruciating, Dr. Klayman. I think acid reflux is so, oh my God, I cannot even describe what it feels like.
No, I know it's terrible. It's, but the thing is, it's easy to fix. It really is easy. Matter of fact, it's so easy that I teach a class, and one of the things we teach in that class is how to fix your own acid reflux.
Amazing.
It's a class called Fix Your Own Ass and Other Things Too. Because we teach how to fix back pain and sacroiliac joint pain, which is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And we teach the headache technique, which we're going to describe in a few minutes, and we teach the acid reflux technique. It's interesting because years ago I had acid reflux myself. So I went to my chiropractor, Doug, and I said, hey, I got this acid reflux. Would you please fix it? So he did the muscle test, and he found out I had a little hiatal hernia where the stomach was bulging up into the esophagus. So he did a technique on me, and it didn't work. So I went back to him again, said, hey, you got to do it again. He did it again, and it didn't work. So I thought, he's not pulling down on my stomach hard enough. He was too concerned about hurting me to actually do the technique properly so it would work. So I figured out how to do it myself. And I did it once on myself, and I pulled the stomach down really hard with a breathing technique at the same time, and that was the end of the acid reflux. So it's really not that difficult, but there's not a lot of money in it. So doctors want to give you Nexium and Prevacid to block the acid, and there's some value in that for the short term because the esophagus, the cells in the esophagus is not designed to handle acid. So if you keep having acid coming up out of your stomach into the esophagus, you can create a hole in your esophagus or an ulcer. And if that continues to get irritated from the acid, you can create esophageal cancer.
Yes, that's what I was told. That's what scared me the most.
It should. So that's why they give Prevacid and Nexium and these acid blockers in the beginning, but you shouldn't be taking it all the time because what happens is you need acid to digest your food. So long-term use of this stuff causes food to putrefy in your gut, and it destroys some of the lining of the gut, and now large food particles are able to get through the gut wall into the bloodstream. And they're not supposed to be large food particles in the bloodstream. So now you get food allergies. Now you have the body attacking this foreign substance that's in the blood. And that's called a food allergy. So short term, very short term, until you get that fixed, you can take Nexium or Prevacid, but you shouldn't be taking it for weeks or months. The other thing that happens is acid in your stomach destroys viruses and bacteria. So if you're not producing enough acid, you're going to be more susceptible to bacterial infections and viral infections. So the body was designed to have acid in the stomach to digest your food, and the coating of the lining of the stomach is such that the acid doesn't bother the lining of the stomach like it bothers the esophagus.
It's amazing. I'm learning about this from you, is that no one has ever told me not to continue taking Nexium, that if you do, it could hurt you down the road. A pharmacist, a doctor, and what you're saying really makes sense.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, it's easy. It's actually easy. Sometimes when I have patients come in my office, I tell them, this is so easy to fix that I'm almost embarrassed to charge you money for it. But I do anyway.
But look at the money you would be saving somebody, because
absolutely.
Next are not cheap at all.
No, absolutely. It's any chiropractor. You'll find a chiropractor in your area there who does kinesiology. Just look it up in Yellow Pages or Google it, and he'll fix it.
That is, how do you know when you're doing the treatment? How do you know that you have successfully pulled the stomach down?
Good question. So what I do is we do the muscle test first, and if the arm goes weak as we press up on the stomach, we know that there's a hiatal hernia there. So then after we do the technique, I stand them up, I do the muscle test again. If it's strong, I know I fixed it. If it's weak, then I know I didn't fix it and I got to do it again. Simple.
Now,
one other thing that's important is the flora in the digestive tract, the proper bacteria. When you take antibiotics, it kills the flora. It kills the good stuff and the bad stuff, right? You know that, right, Steve?
Yes.
So after you've taken antibiotics, you need to take like kefir or yogurt, which has the bacteria in it. So you have a proper balance again of good bacteria and bad bacteria. So if the bad bacteria gets out of control, then that can produce various gastrointestinal problems, including acid reflux. So, maybe periodically having a bottle of kefir that you could get at your at your grocery store that has a lot of the good bacteria in it. Or you can take a probiotic. One thing you should know about probiotics, one of the most important elements of the probiotic is something called bifidobacteria, Bifido, bifido. Most supplements that say they have bifido in it don't have bifido in it. And bifido is a really important component of the many bacteria that it's contained in the microbiome. And we know that the microbiome is connected to a lot of things, including your immune system. So it's important that area is functioning properly. So to get proper bifido, you have to have it in a product that's cooled, because if you just have a product sitting on the shelf, the bifido dies, that type of bacteria. So it has to be in a cool environment. So like if you had kefir in the freezer at the, in the cold section of your store, that'd probably be adequate. You got to keep it in the fridge.
Dr. Klein, we just got a text from a listener. I am amazed by what I'm hearing. Thank you for bringing Dr. Klayman on. Dr. Klayman, are there any foods to stay away from if you have acid reflux?
It's a great question. Certain foods will cause that sphincter, that valve, to open.
Wow.
Typically those foods, and what you can do is to eat those foods and see if you're getting acid reflux after you eat those particular foods and not other foods. And typically those foods are coffee. I'm sorry to tell you that, Steve. Chocolate. Tomatoes.
Chocolate? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I know. I would die if I couldn't eat chocolate. Tomatoes, almonds, spicy foods. If you're wondering about your acid reflux, if it occurs periodically, go and have a cup of coffee or eat some chocolate, just one food, and see if that causes acid reflux. If it does, then that food you got to stay away from, because it's going to cause acid reflux. The other thing is your digestive juices pretty much stop around 8 o'clock in the evening. So if you're eating a big meal after 8 and then you lie down, there's going to be a tendency for that undigested food to flow back up into the esophagus. So shouldn't eat a lot after 8 o'clock in the evening. Or if you do, have a Coke with it, because the Coke will digest anything.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't drink Coca-Cola, except if I'm out late and I have a pizza, I better have a little glass of Coke, because that Coke it'll digest the nail, so it'll certainly digest the pizza.
That is amazing.
It's a little
Every time we give a show, you always amaze me. What about like lemons, things that are real acidy? Do those contribute?
No, it shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem. But if you notice acid reflux after having a particular food, pay attention.
We got a question from Lakeway. Is that near Austin?
Yeah, that's right around the corner from me.
Oh, okay. They want to know they said, I can't believe what I'm hearing. I've been suffering from acid reflux, taking Nexum. I am going to call your office tomorrow because I was under the assumption that taking Nexum would help me forever. And now I'm finding out that coffee and chocolate could be causing my acid reflux.
Correct.
Is acid reflux as dangerous as everybody says it is if not treated properly. We've kind of gone over that.
Yeah, well, it can cause an ulcer, and then eventually it can cause esophageal cancer. That's dangerous.
Yes.
And listen, let's be honest with each other. The reason you're not told about this stuff is because there's money to be made in you spending the rest of your life taking Nexium. It's about money.
Yeah.
You know that. I had a woman come to me and she said, I've been on Nexium for 17 years. You treated my acid reflux, and in 2 visits, you got rid of it. How come my doctor didn't do that?
Right.
I said, you went to the wrong
That's
doctor.
amazing. So the patient you had that it took 2 treatments, how long will that last for, Dr. Clayman?
I haven't seen that patient, and that gal came in years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, no, sometimes it lasts a long time. Sometimes it could last a really long time. Matter of fact, right now as we're speaking, I have a construction worker friend of mine who had acid reflux about 4 or 5 years ago. And we did that treatment on him once, and it hasn't bothered him since. And I said to him, if I had known it was going to last so long, I would have charged you more for that.
That's amazing. Listen, you know what? The show goes by so fast. We've only got like 5 minutes left. Let's get into headaches real fast. What causes headaches?
Most headaches are tension headaches. People think they have migraines because it's such a bad headache. Frequently, it's a tension headache. If you have a migraine, then you should see an aura around objects, and it should cause you to vomit. Those are migraines.
Wow, okay.
Well, most headaches, the common headache is a tension headache, and it's easy to fix. Now, I don't know how we're going to do this, but if people have a pen and paper, I'll show them the 8 consecutive acupuncture points that you can rub or poke with a pen or the end of a fork or something, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you poke these 8 consecutive acupuncture points, that's going to take away the headache. We ready for that?
One time or separately?
You do about 5 to 8 seconds on each point.
Okay.
I'm going to go over this. I don't know how we could, if people don't have.
Yeah, we've only got 2 minutes. We should save it. Your last show is next week. Same time,
we're
Tuesday.
doing the show next week.
Yes. We should do a whole show on headaches because I'm getting so many texts here. Tell people how they can reach you, Dr. Clayman.
My office is in Austin, 512-301-7746. We're open Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and half day Friday. I just want, before we hang up, can I just say this? You got about 30 seconds?
Yes.
If you get headaches and you press at the base of your skull with your thumb, you'll find tender points. Those are called trigger points. So from the base of your skull to the midline, hit 4 or 5 different points, and it'll be tender. Pressing those points out will relax the tension on your skull and help relieve long-term headaches. But we're going to go over that next week when we do the headache show.
Beautiful. We'll do a show on headaches next week. Dr. Clayman, I'm so glad to get you on the show. We learn something new I know I sure do. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next Tuesday with more Ask the Experts and Dr. Clayman.
Same time, same place, correct?
Thank you, Dr. Clayman.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.